Hi, I'm Aaron Isaacson, and the topic of this roundtable is maximizing sales and downloads for indie mobile game developers. But we can, any size company you are is fine too. So, what we really want to do today here is have a roundtable discussion, which means it's not just us presenting to you what we think and what our experiences. That we really want to have feedback from you and people in the audience, present your stories, things that have worked for you. So in that case, the microphone that's out there is really key, and you guys should feel free to use it whenever you want. If you want to interrupt, you want to stand up, you want to ask a question, you want to tell your story, that's sort of how we want to do this. And of course, we have a lot of experience that we want to share as well. Just a reminder to make sure that you turn off your ringers, and there's the evaluation forms that you've all been given that you're supposed to turn in at the end. Okay, so I'm Aaron Isaacson, and
I'm Dave Castelnuovo.
And I'm from App Above Games. I'll give you a little our history. We started in 2003, and we began by doing brew games. We have our biggest success in Latin America, and we've done J2ME titles, we've done BlackBerry, we've done Windows Mobile. We have yet to do our first iPhone title because we're really trying to figure out. We've been waiting to see what works, what doesn't work, and so we've been kind of staying on the sidelines there. So today I'm actually really interested in hearing and learning about how to do things right from everybody here. And then, of course, sharing my experience with sort of the older types of mobile. So let's see what this is all about. Why don't you introduce yourself, Dave?
Hey everyone, my name's Dave. I created a game called Pocket God for the iPhone. It's gone on to sell about 2.3 million units in the iStore, in the App Store. I think this topic was especially interesting to me because with so many people with the introduction of the iPhone and the Open SDK for the iPhone, all these independent developers typically come from a background in programming or art. But they have no knowledge of like social media or how to get their word out, how to get their name out there. And personally, I know a lot of my friends that have developed games for the iPhone and other platforms, and they. Excuse me? You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah. So, like I said, my name is Dave. Made a game called Pocket God. The reason why I think that this topic is interesting is because a lot of my friends I know personally have developed games for the iPhone, and they just haven't really gotten the sales that they should have because while they're experts at programming and art, they're not really experts at getting themselves out there and getting themselves known. So we kind of wanted to just do a little discussion, see what's worked for people. We have a list of questions that we can go through, and let's just see what we can come up with.
All right. So here's one of the first questions that I had written down here was that, has anyone had success with buying ads for their games? What worked for you? What budgets do you need? And how did you track conversions based on those ads and finding out what worked and what not? Dave, I think you said that you had tried some stuff. So.
Yeah, at first we were pretty hesitant about using advertising. We were mainly just concerned with PR, trying to get people to write articles, huge community involvement. We really tried to really work a grassroots approach. But once the grassroots approach started giving us diminishing returns, we experimented with some advertising. We went last Christmas on Gizmodo, and we actually did a purchase of $25K, which is the minimum purchase that you need in order to do a sponsored post. The idea is that the sponsored posts on Gizmodo and Kotaku are really effective for independent games because it looks kind of like the editorial flow. And we timed it such that we did it right before Christmas in order to get our ranking up to the point so that during the Christmas rush we see a huge number of sales from the increased visibility. Another thing that we did was instead of taking on the $25K spend on our own, we actually split that with a company with another game called Doodle Jump. So we went in half and half, and actually it worked out pretty well. I think if you just look at the day of the actual ad itself. We probably didn't make a profit, but we actually ended up killing it during Christmas because we got from 28 to about 11 ranking in the App Store, and that 11 ranking really ended up doing it for us. Was everyone able to hear me?
So you're saying once you got to the 11, once you got to that high ranking, you just kind of, there's no point in paying money anymore, right? Because the deck had sort of taken over.
Well, the big thing is not necessarily evaluating for us the ad spend based on the number of sales that ad's going to get us, but allowing that ad in order to boost our ranking to give us extra visibility, so that over the next week or the next 2 weeks, that extra, moving from outside of the top 25 to inside of the top 25 will give us an increased number of sales over time, and especially right before holidays. I don't know if anyone here is an iPhone developer, but there's about a week period around Christmas where they actually shut down the ranking of the App Store. So whatever it is, like 2 days before Christmas, just gets frozen. So it's really important to try and get get as much visibility right before that period.
So we tried, our latest game we released in the US was called Monster Smash, and we used a company called WA to help us do our ads, and Brendan Hayden is here from WA. Brendan, do you want to comment on how ads have worked for games for us or for other companies? Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah.
My name is Brendan Hayden. I work for a company called Wireless Developer Agency. I can give you some comments along the lines of what Aaron talked about. We've done, give you a little background on our company. We've been in business since 2001. Our company was the spin-out of a company that used to run developer programs for carriers and platform providers. So we started and ran Dev Central for AT&T and Nextel, and a lot of people got to know us as part of the Verizon developer program. But in 2001 and 2002, we started the agency where we represented games and applications and other types of content like music and wallpapers. And this was in the early days of Brew and J2Me and so forth, so that's how we built our business, doing the distribution. At that time, selling successfully in mobile was really about relationships with a handful of people that were the buyers at the major carriers, and so it was very much of a B2B sale. And with the launch of the iPhone, the ecosystem has changed dramatically. It's grown, and it's also made it less valuable to have your B2B sort of buyer-oriented business, and more valuable to master the arts of direct marketing. And so when you talk about social networking, when you talk about buying ads, it's a category of promotions called direct marketing. And people do it on the internet to sell vitamins and insurance and credit cards and everything else. And if you're an independent game developer, that's the thing that you're going to have to learn to master. The two fundamental things that I would say that direct marketers in all industries will tell you is that the first thing is it's all about the quality and speed with which you can get data about what you're selling. Real time is best. 30 minutes delayed, okay. Next day, 48 hours, it's going to be very difficult to make an effective advertising spend with a limited budget. If you can get quick data, it is possible to effectively spend your money. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that the way that advertising works in performance marketing is that it's essentially almost like fishing. Anybody, any fishermen? Anybody go fishing? I'm from Kentucky, so I've done a lot of fishing. But you're casting lines in the water, and you're looking for where the fish are, and where the fish are today might not be where the fish are going to be tomorrow. But when you find them, you want to catch them all. in that spot. And that's the way performance marketing is. So you're essentially trying to, as cost effectively, as cheaply as possible, find what works. But then when you do, you want to be ready to move fast and get it all. And so when we've done marketing on the iPhone, for example, when you can have real-time data, you can watch your sales go up in 5, 10, 15-minute increments if the most recent review you got was bad or if the most recent review you got was good. So there's lots of lessons there. You can start spinning it around yourself. A lot of you guys probably already know this, but for example, if you're going to go to the party, you better be wearing your best suit. The cool thing about the iPhone, how many? I keep talking about iPhone. How many people here are iPhone developers? How many people here are not iPhone developers? How many people here are developing on J2ME? How many people are developing on Brew? Windows Mobile? Android? Okay. And anybody I missed? What was that? So it's okay to kind of focus on iPhone, I guess, is there more?
And Android. It looks like Android was quite a few people too.
Definitely Android. But I think for these, we've done marketing in practically every store that's out there. So these things are not just applicable to the iPhone. But one thing I will say that the iPhone does really well for a developer is that your user base will tell you how to build your application. And so, if you want to go to market fast, make sure you don't spend all your marketing money before your bugs are fixed. That was the point I was trying to get.
So has anybody...
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Brendan. Has anybody put this idea of the real-time tracking in their game and seen what happens? Anybody else? Does anybody want to go to the mic and comment on what you get from that information? Have you seen, are there things you've done that you've actually seen fluxes of sales increase or use increase or decrease or anything? Or Dave?
Two-person roundtable. Oh,
Yeah.
Three-person roundtable. I actually have pretty simple tracking in my app. I can see when how many times people open the application, how many times people buy it, but I actually don't get a lot of usage statistics. The only real data that I've seen is obviously when we get a big article. For the most part, a lot of the smaller sites don't really budget too much. Big sites like Touch Arcade, Gizmodo, Kotaku, those drive it up really high. And I don't have a lot of experience with smaller ads or anything, so I can't really comment on that. But.
How quickly do you get feedback?
Right away.
Is it your own website, or did you use Flurry or something?
I use Heartbeat actually.
Heartbeat,
yeah. I'm considering switching, but and for the most part, I just use it as a really kind of high-end thing. I mean, as far as actual trends that I've seen, we get bumps on the weekends, we get bumps in the middle of the day in the U.S. Although our ad, does much better in the U.S. than it does internationally. And then you see big hits, big hits from big articles or big advertising, but we actually never were able to get enough data in order to see little things like what you were saying, whether a review can necessarily affect it in a positive way. But we actually don't track real purchases. We just track unique users and the number of times that it gets opened.
One thing that we're thinking about doing, we make a program called Spanish Anywhere, and we have never made a light free version of it. And we want to try doing is do a free version and then see how do an in-app purchase and see how that converts differently than just actually going to the store and buying it.
Does anyone here actually, have they experimented with the freemium model? Yeah? Anyone have positive experience with the freemium model? Nobody.
Yeah, what didn't work? Why did the free upgrades or the free version not work?
I'm not native English, so I will try to explain. I'm the manager of Eurocenter. We are a company making a game for iPhone since launch. We have made a freemium model for a game called Grad Online. It's a massively multiplayer online game, RPG. And then we have made a first version, paid version. It was not working at all. So we said, okay, let's go to freemium version, and then we have monetized items and player customization. And it's incredible how successful we have been. Because first we had visibility. Before we had no visibility, because to be in a top 100 of game, it's very hard. And there with viral marketing, we have been very quickly in the top 50 of free games. So it means each day about 10,000 people download application. And on this 10,000 people downloading application, we had about 3% buying items. It means about changing head of the player, about we have made player houses, people can rent houses. So we have generated quite a lot of money with the freemium model.
And you have an in-game purchase.
Yeah.
And 3% of your...
3%, yes, it's very big.
Was it 3% or 3 people who converted?
No, 3%.
Okay.
3 people, yes.
Well, you didn't ask how many people bought that.
Well, you said 10,000, so that's
10,000.
pretty. That's reasonable.
That's cool.
And talking about advertising, we have made some try with AdMob, for example, and we have real-time tracking on the application. And frankly speaking, I'm very disappointed by the result we had. It's very, very small. It's incredible the number of people clicking on to watch and never buying. So, and I have no idea why, because if you click on an ad, it means you are interested by the ad. But why people don't buy? It's a question I have still not answered. The conversion rate was something like 0.01%. So it's not a good way to push an application, in my point of view. Probably depend on the game, but.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we did a couple of different things with a game called Bigfoot for iPhone, and we were featured by Apple for 2 weeks straight, and the sales were good, and then it just kind of dropped off. We got great reviews, the sales would not go up. Like we even got good on IGN, Joystick.com, 1UP, like pretty big sites on the mainstream, but not necessarily big mobile stuff. So we set the game for free for 2 days in December on the Advent calendar. We got something in the neighborhood of 60,000 users in just those 2 days, with the goal of eventually putting in-game advertising in it through a system that we're developing that we're presenting on the floor this week. But it's what drives me nuts in terms of the freemium stuff is, or at least in terms of getting any kind of visibility. Like even if you do get really like good press and good reviews, it still doesn't guarantee at all any kind of movement or visibility.
So I'm actually interested in that. So how do you get? You said good reviews. You mean good professional reviews or good reviews from users?
Professional reviews.
Okay.
Can I comment 1 second? I think what you bring up is a really good point, and what I see in the industry right now is a lot of buzz around the term freemium. Like freemium is the way to go. People devoting everything towards like that kind of business model. And while I think it seems like that could be successful for a certain type of game, there's definitely games like Tap Tap Revolution that's doing really, really well with freemium. I think a lot of games won't do well in that model. And in fact, if you really take a look at the top grossing, you'll see there's a lot of games that are finally figuring out how to generate revenue with, a $3 game, a $4 game that's just backed up with in-app purchasing rather than just committing to free with in-app purchasing. But
So that's our experience. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rob Yagna with Lazy 8 Studios. I created a game called Cogs. And I just wanted to share kind of the lessons that I've learned, at least in my limited experience with the App Store. We released about 6 weeks ago, and we wanted to try a little bit of a new business model now that the App Store allows you to have in-app, we considered various ways of selling the game, but what we ended up doing was we sold the first 10 puzzles for $1, next 10 for $1, next 10 for $1, next 10 for $1. We thought that would, help people just have impulsive purchases, make it easier to buy. And the response from consumers has been pretty interesting. We just put up a poll on Touch Arcade a couple days ago, and what we found, we basically asked, which do you prefer, paying $5, $1 at a time, so that you get only the content that you're really using, or paying $5 altogether? And basically what people said was, half the people said that they liked the in-app purchase method. Half the people said that they would prefer $5 all at once. And this contingent in particular was interesting because they don't distinguish between downloadable content and in-app purchases. To them, anything that you're purchasing within an app, they're concerned about it transferring over to another device. They're concerned about losing it if they wipe their device. And there are a lot of concerns there that we need to work in the industry to alleviate so that people understand what in-app purchases really mean. And Apple doesn't make it clear that if you buy it on one device, you'll get it on another device. Now, I wanted to also point out that there was 17% in this poll who said $5 no matter what is too much for any iPhone game. And we said in the poll, this game won the grand prize of the Indie Game Challenge this year. It's $10 on the PC, and it has exactly the same content on the iPhone as it does on the PC. So I think that this is sort of interesting to consider also. I think people can think that since they have a smaller device, programs that run on that device are worth less inherently. And I think that that's something we need to address in this audience.
So we have a wireless.
I had a question about that. Why he was formulated, and then you gave the answer, but I'll ask you anyway, and that is it because there's so much free and 99-cent apps? In other words, because the reason why I ask you that is that a lot of people I talk to are really dumbing down the 99-cent stuff. I mean, to the point where it's not even serious anymore. And so I was just wondering what you thought about that.
I totally agree. I mean, a lot of this is just supply and demand. The threshold for entry is very low, and so there are a lot of apps coming into the iPhone store that are just low quality, and you have to rise above that noise to be successful. But while the threshold for entry is very low, the threshold for success is very, very high. And that's something that a lot of people who are just getting into this don't quite understand. And I think it's really great that you guys are talking about marketing because it's a really important aspect that a lot of developers forget about.
So I want to back up to something you had said about this idea of selling 10 puzzles $1 at a time, and then some people said no, I want all of it for $5. So why can't you have both?
So we thought about that, but of course what that does is split the app in the App Store. You can't have both of those with the same model, and because of the way that you rely on visibility in the App Store, splitting your sales into two different groups makes it that much harder to rise up into the ranks.
So you need to have one program.
And in fact, some of the lessons that I've heard from other people who have said, oh, well, we made our game free for a day or free for a week to try to get visibility. They've said that in the long run, and I would love to hear other people's experiences on this, but what I've heard from other people is that in the long run, that cost them a lot. Because let's say that they're at number 50 in the paid App Store, and then they go free for a week, and they get all these sales, but when they transfer back into the paid App Store, they've lost a week of marketing numbers. And so all of a sudden they're at number 2,000 and they can't catch back up. They can't get their visibility back up.
Okay. So you can't have, you said if you can buy 10 puzzles at a time, why can't you just, once the person gets to $5, you say, okay, thank you, you've unlocked everything now they're ever going to make?
Well, I mean, you can do that, but you can't have two different applications in the iTunes
I understand.
store.
That makes sense.
Basically, the Apple just doesn't quite support that yet.
Right.
It'd be great if they did.
Thanks, Rob. Sorry.
I'd like to share some of our experience. I work for a company called Pressec Entertainment, and we have our game Finger Physics, which was fairly popular, number one in free version for a couple of weeks, and I think number 5 in top overall between Christmas and Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we actually, a lot of things that were discussed already, we tried them, used them, some of them.
Can you talk a little bit louder? I'm sorry.
Yeah, some of them work, some of them not. So first of all, about tracking, we actually use really a lot of different ways of tracking. So we use Flurry with a lot of customizations and specific events. It's not real time, but it provides a lot of good information, specifically upsell and cross-sell, which is probably the best thing you
So you
should.
said Flurry is not real time? You said?
Huh?
If Flurry is not real time, is that what you said?
No, I don't think they're. Well, I think their reporting is at least a couple of hours away. Yeah, it's delayed. So, but frankly, we never saw any, good reason to be tracking it in real time, like 15 minutes or something. So, just knowing, usually even daily reports are fine, maybe a few times a day. And we never used pure freemium model, but the success of Finger Physics was actually, I think, by big extent was caused by our free version because it was like slowly growing and people were converting from free to paid over time, and we see that the percentage of people who are converting from free to paid is growing month to month, and we started to support this notion with releasing like monthly updates with new levels, which were free, and that actually helped us to grow the conversion rate from around 2% at the beginning to around, I think, 7% now.
What do you attribute the growth from 2 to 7%?
Well, we started to release free levels monthly, or every couple of weeks. Let's put it this way, and we are doing it since middle of December till now. So we released 3 or 4 updates to this point, adding like another 18, 20, 30 levels.
So the new levels are only available to the
Yeah, they're available for free and paid, and that's actually increases the number of conversions significantly. And we actually noticed also using Flurry, we can see like what's when is the point when people are converting, and the more levels we supply, the more people go into the game, the more likely they are to convert to a full version eventually. So that's something that really worked very well for us. And we also started experiment with in-game purchases. So we're selling premium levels now, which are a little bit more sophisticated and introduce some new game mechanic. And it's a pretty good addition to your sales, but I would say it probably attributes to like 30% of total sales right now, but it's not overwhelming. We actually...
I always hear these stories about microtransactions, how some people will end up spending like hundreds of dollars because they're just so into your game. They want to collect every single possible thing in your game. And has anybody seen those kind of experiences?
No, well, it's hard to see. It's hard to say that because for now we just had like one premium level. We just see the percentage of people who purchase the full version of the game and then purchase this premium level on top of that, and that's not very significant. We actually expected that people who converted to the game and apparently pretty addicted, they will be willing to pay for additional level, and it's. But it's a little bit too early. We're actually releasing new premium pack, and we're doing some cross promotions with other games like Doodle Jump to drive a little bit of additional sales in both ways, which is actually pretty. One of the things that I also would like to mention, if you have multiple games on the deck, kind of obvious thing, but you really should. Have a way to advertise your other games and sell your other games from within each one of your games.
Yeah.
And we actually noticed that whenever we do, like we concentrate most of our marketing efforts on Finger Physics apparently, since it's our top seller, but we noticed significant spikes on the sales for other games whenever we do marketing for.
Right. And I know some people have kind of come together, and so even if they only have one game, they'll get together with like 5 of their fellow developers and kind of make a little conglomerate's not the right word, but a little collective that sort of advertises each other's games.
Yeah,
exactly
we didn't try that, but maybe we just so far we're concentrating on
your own stuff,
promoting our games between each other and then working with other popular game makers and cross promote.
Okay.
So that's our experience.
Thank you.
Can I just chime in here real quick? I wanted to let everyone know we have a floating microphone here, so if anybody has a question and just wants to interject real quick, just raise a hand, please, and I'll bring the microphone by. The other thing is, it seems we're having people in the back have problems hearing what is being said, so whoever has a microphone, if you could just please speak up and try to speak to the people in the back of the room as opposed to our panelists here in the front, that would probably help.
Hi, can everyone hear me then? Okay, I work for Mobclicks. My name is Megan Berry. We're a mobile ad exchange, so I just wanted to share a little bit. Many of our developers do use the freemium model because that's one way to definitely go with ads, and we offer custom ads. So we have seen developers like We're Just Friends Free. I don't know if Michael's here. I'm with Mobclicks. We're a mobile ad exchange, so I just wanted to share some experience with some of our developers. Like Words with Friends Free has found that custom ads that, say like upgrade now to get the real version, whether it's additional features or simply no ads, and they've seen really high conversion rates. I think something like 5 to 10%. I was trying to get the exact figures, but I couldn't get them in that short of time. But it's been really effective, and then you get monetization from the free version as well as obviously from the paid version. So if anyone has any questions about that, I'd be happy to.
So if you said 5 to 10% conversion, right?
Yes.
And so if that game you're selling is 99 cents, you have to sell your ads for pretty cheap, right? To make that worth doing.
Oh, well, it's custom ads actually in your application.
Okay.
So the idea is your own application shows ads. You make money off of those ads, and a certain percentage of the time, your own ads show an ad for your own application, if that makes sense. Like, if you like me, if you like my game, buy it. And that's actually been really effective. The other one that's done that is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Shotgun Free and Shotgun Pro, but they actually inserted it originally because people would just say, I want to give you money. How do I give you money? Because I like your game so much. And they were like, okay, well, we should create a paid version. So that works for some people. So I'd be happy to answer more questions after or whatever, if anyone wants to know more about Mobclicks.
Thanks.
Thanks. Things off.
Well, can you go?
Hello. Okay. Yeah. So I work at Playdom, and I run the mobile division at Playdom. So we are mainly focused on web games on Facebook and MySpace. So I kind of have the benefit of looking at our models on the web and seeing how they transfer over. All of our games not all of our games, the games that we concentrate on and that make the most money for us at Playdom are the ones that connect to our web games. So we have the advantage of actually promoting our applications and having a game that people already know move over to the phone. And yeah.
What's some of your titles?
So Mobsters is our biggest one, and it's the one that connects right now. We have also tried it independently. So we have some games like RPGs. RPGs tend to monetize pretty well for the same reason you're saying. Like, hey, there's some users that just get really involved on last Thursday we launched in-app payments for virtual currencies, which if anybody doesn't know, Apple did not allow virtual currencies in app payments initially, and then they all of a sudden just decided, okay, we're going to allow it without saying anything. So that's been a really big boost for us. We had a girl spend $850 on not even one day, just in an evening, just kept clicking over and over and over. And yeah, she just really bought into the game. And
did she ask for a refund the next day?
No, actually, that's so funny. I totally expected it, but she was, totally good to go. And when somebody spends that much, we actually contact them and hey, thanks a lot, So yeah. But we also tried it the other way, where we don't have, we had an RPG that was not connected, and we tried it in a cross-promotional way. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about cross-promotion, but in the same way that you have a sales pipeline, you can pay more for an ad if you're going to promote somebody across the game into other games later. So what we did is crank out a whole bunch of just really crap applications, trying to get something that'll hit, and we actually did. We got a What's Your IQ quiz app that went to #1 as a free app, and just hundreds of thousands of downloads. That really, it wasn't a sticky user at all, but what it was useful for is that we could cross-promote from that to an RPG, which actually did pay money, and the conversion rate was absolute crap, but with that many people, it didn't really matter, and then you could pump people across in a really concentrated manner, and when you can do that, then you bump up into the store with your application that actually makes money. So, now we're going in a different route where we're actually trying to engage indie developers to hook into our web games the same way that we have our own games hook into our web game. And that, is a slightly different business model for us. But there are a couple other, companies out there. Tapjoy comes to mind, who do just cross-promotion, and you can build it into your application, sell virtual goods. It's kind of like OfferPal, but for, mobile applications. We've had pretty good luck with them in terms of monetization. But really, I heard, who was it that was talking about COG? You're talking about the freemium model of splitting up your application into different versions. I can completely understand what you're saying about that. Something that I've seen work and what we've had work is that before Apple allowed in-app payments for virtual currencies, what we had to do was this crappy solution of putting another version of our application and bundling it with virtual currency. And what we noticed was that while that really did diversify our application, we had it split among like 6 or 7 different applications. What was really good was that we could do something like, hey, you want 5 free favor points. We'll give you like a bundle, but we'll do it for free. So now we have our application out, and we have a whole bunch of people that have already downloaded our application, and then they'll go back and they'll download a different version of our application. So if we have 40,000 users on that one day when we release, all of a sudden we get 40,000 people downloading it, and it costs us
because you're rewarding them with free currency.
And so you can do that in a whole bunch of games. And while it does split it up, you get that application bumped up in the store, which you don't really care that it's another version of your application. It just works.
Because as long as it's higher the right game.
And when you can cross-promote across, I mean, like, if you have cross-promotion in your applications, you start to have real benefits to having any application that's near the top of the store. It doesn't really matter what it is.
So you mentioned that you contacted that user who purchased all those things. How do you actually contact your users?
Well, so in this case, we have, like, our games are connected to the web, so they Facebook Connect, and we have a whole CS department that is like contacting we have a loyalty program and so on and so forth. So this person was, already flagged for spending money on our web game, and in this particular case, she's like, hey, I want to play on the phone, and I'm going to spend almost $1,000 on one day. So
she has an email account connected somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now it's very easy when you have Facebook Connect. Facebook is now letting you get email addresses. So as long as the person lets you have the email address, you can contact them. It's not a problem.
Right. So something I've heard similar is that I know someone who had I think it was Cannibal, had a really successful Flash game.
Yeah.
And then when they came out with their iPhone, you took all those Flash users who had registered and they said, hey, go out and buy this game. Once that one day they'd gotten 10,000 sales or
exactly
1,000 sales in that one day, that bumped them up in the list, and then you suddenly have like a feedback cycle.
And you'll notice something else with Cannibal. It's kind of similar to us, but it's more prominent in something like EA, where if you have branded content and the user already knows your content, so if it's like Tetris, obviously you can put it out for $5-10 and somebody's going to pay for it. But in our case, it's just an existing user base, and you kind of have the same benefits if you are Cannibal, like, okay, it's a Flash game, or if you do well with COG and then you want to cross-promote to another application, you have people who now trust your application and they're willing to pay more up front. So it's not always a zero, like start from the beginning game with a new application. If you have cross-promotion and you have the same user base, it actually can continue. And then, like, if you have a user who plays COG and then plays your second game, you can pay more for a COG user because now your ARPU for that first user increases because you know that a certain percentage will go on to your other games.
Great, thank you. Do you have some?
Yeah, if anybody wants to know about Playdom and mobile and get into our games, let me know.
Hi, everybody. First of all, bear with me. English is my native language. I will try to deliver what I want to share with you clearly. Okay. First of all, I would like to share with you 2 main points. The first one is how to make your marketing strategy built inside your game design. The first thing I would like to share with you. The second thing is about what is the experience, the bad experience we work with the Apple, because we got lots of bad experience, but I would like to share to you, and you won't do the same thing as me. And my name is Jerry Liang. Yeah, I'm the teacher of one of the university in Taiwan. The first university using the game as the name of the department. I'm also the co-founder of the company called RM Mobile Entertainment, AAME in short, with my student. I'm stand out not just for me, it's for my student as well. And respond to your topic today, how to maximize sales and the download for India mobile game developer. Allow me to put on the hat. To show the example, how to know people know your game first, right? Okay. Party Match 2 is the first iPhone game which 2 to 4 people can play together. Because I teach my students, we are not the EasyMogo, we are not EA. We don't have the big budget to sell your game. So we must consider how can combine your marketing strategy within the game design. So we create this called a party magic. I know everybody will go to party during the weekend, right? And from the very children to the adult, they will go to party. So if we can design a game, can play within the party. This is a good market strategy. So the game we call the party match, we combine 2 games in 1 match. So everybody can bring your game to the party. It's not the game, it's more than a game. It is the approach, effective approach to socialize with your friend or your family within the party. Yeah. And the first game we call the finger fighting. and four people can select the character you like, and you have to tap on the character on the screen. You increase your score, and during the finger, we call it finger fighting or finger touch, you increase the friendship with your friend. Because we know people at the beginning, we don't know each other, but through the game, we'll make friends more easily. This is everyone play on the game is the marketer. Sorry, he can do the marketing for us, because if we want to like this game, he must to play with other people.
Your point is definitely well taken. That the idea of making the game, building the games that people want to share it with other people, and other people, and market it makes sense.
When you play the game, well, raise the attention in the public.
Yeah.
In the public, for example, if the loser need to be punished, one of the punish is very funny way. I want to fall, everybody get away, and we'll get attention from the public when you play the game within the public or within the party. The second thing I want to show is our bad experience with the App Store, because we try to build the free version of this game called Parliamentary Line.
Yep.
We took about 1 month try to make a free version to boost the sale, but Apple don't allow the free version with a time limit, because we don't have the level 1, level 2, level 3. We only just play the game in 30 seconds. We try to limit the time. Maybe they can play one in 1 month. So eventually we'll be rejected from the App Store.
Yeah.
It took me a lot of time and energy to make the free version, but eventually we've been rejected from App Store. This share our experience to all of you.
Right.
Thank you.
That's an interesting idea that it would be nice to have different ways of limiting people's usage other than just the number of levels. That kind of, maybe you could design the game so that, look, it makes sense to kind of only let you play for 30 seconds, and it kind of dumps you out, and see how high you can get in 30 seconds, whereas if you had the full version, you could...
Well, and a lot of people were coming up with interesting models like NG Mocha with Eliminate, where they have, you can play by yourself for free, and then you have a certain amount of energy that enables you to play online versus other people, and while you're playing with other people, then you can get rewards and cash that you can spend on your character. So I think there's a lot of different models in order to try and limit play like that. Mm-hmm. But another thing that you brought up was social networking connections, like using Facebook Connect or Twitter, so that people can broadcast messages like I've been punished or I've been rewarded or I've won. How many people here have social networking features built into their app that at the very minimum would do like a tweet or post a message on their Facebook? Have people generally found that it's been effective for them in getting the name out?
One person has
One person.
I'd love to hear about that.
And I think that raises a point. I mean, we put our obligatory Facebook Connect and tweets, kind of inside of it, but it's so much more than just putting the mechanism in place in your game. You really have to find like a good use of social media, a good way of getting it virally, and spend time and do it properly in order to get effectiveness out of it.
What would you say is a good use? Like what makes?
I don't know. Actually, we didn't get a lot of impact out of our social our viral qualities. I mean, our approach was completely different. We use community in a completely different way, where we just wanted to connect with our fans, talk to them, make them feel like they're part of the development process, so that we're their friends that have an iPhone game, and then they're going to go spread the word around everywhere, rather than putting little piece of functionality inside of the game where that would spread it virally, just by using the media. So we had a slightly different approach.
Hi, I just wanted to share some of our experiences. So we have we publish under 4 different developer accounts on the App Store, and just to serve different demographics. And we've definitely our number one kind of strategy that we continue to rely on is cross-selling. So we cross-sell within our own portfolio very aggressively to one app at a time. Really try to steer and herd the cattle. Think of all the consumers, just kind of steer them into one app to try to overcome that discovery issue and try to get that app, positioned well, one at a time. So maybe a period of 3 or 4 days at a time. And then for definitely a lot of developers in here who may not be able to afford a $25,000 budget yet. Basically finding another developer with a similar amount of traffic and doing traffic exchanges with them. So, doing something as simple as building like a, apps we love or more apps page, put it inside of your app, make it discoverable, don't bury it, and do the same with, another partner of yours, or so when you meet here at GDC is just a great way to kind of essentially double traffic to your application. I was going to say that AdMob, same thing, just really, really dismal results and click-through rates. I mean, we burned through $1,000 like 4 different times, like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, just thinking like, what are we doing wrong? But just horrible click-through rates on AdMob. I think they might have a bug in their favor. But the one thing that's extremely valuable at AdMob, which we're hoping they don't take away now that they're part of Google, is house ads. And why? It's because it allows us to basically use their banner system, their banner technology to cross-sell. But the coolest thing about it is, for all of us who didn't take, hundreds of hours of marketing classes, you can write your own banners and see, do A/B tests and see which banners perform the best and get the best click-through rate. So, you only get like 40 characters or so to sell your app, and you get your icon. So you can create, 3 or 4 of those inside AdMob's house ads feature, and see which one's getting the best click-through rates over a couple days, and zero in on that one, and get rid of the stuff that's not working. So, and then I would say that one last thing, a little plug. Basically, everything we've learned through this cross-selling, we're kind of wrapping it into a free service to developers on the App Store. It's in private beta right now. It's called appzing.com, appzing.com. But it's basically a free way for developers to exchange banner ads with other developers on the App Store.
One thing I wanted to add to that is I totally agree. Like being able to cross-promote with your friends' applications or another developer in the community is like so valuable. Pocket God and Doodle Jump has had a relationship for a long time like that, where they put news articles in there to plug Pocket God. We try to plug Doodle Jump wherever we can. But you can also do some really creative things with it, rather than just like having a bug or like an ad somewhere in your game that can be discovered where you can like have somebody buy that application. You can actually do a special update, and we've done it with a lot of different games where we'll take Doodle Jump's character and we'll create like a special Doodle Jump game in Pocket God. They'll create a little Easter egg where they put in a secret name and turn their Doodle guy into a little pygmy. That stuff actually works even better because your fans get excited about it. Your fans want to see it, and they don't feel like you're sending advertisement to them.
Now, how does that help you, though? So, because they're already your fans, they've already purchased it. You're giving them a free update. So, how does that actually increase?
Well, that's our business model is free updates, and on one hand you can try to get $6 or $10 out of your user base, but we find like in our case, and I don't know if I don't think this is completely repeatable with everybody, but our case was we wanted to create a story. We wanted to create like a huge amount of value for 99 cents. We have like 31 free updates. All of our updates aren't just like small bug fixes. It's like real content, and every time we do a new update, we change the icon in the App Store so that people know what's happening. And that created a really awesome story that helped us stay in the top 25 for over a year.
So meaning that people say, oh, this game keeps giving you more content, so people talk about it in that way.
Right.
You're not actually making more money off the original user. You're just getting more users. Because
although lately we added in-app purchasing. So non-critical functionality, just skins, we give that to our user base, and we see about a 7% conversion ratio on that. So every single update will give like a huge amount of interactivity to people for free, and just to give it out, just to be generous. And then we'll give them maybe 10 or 15 skins that they can like customize different elements of the island, like we did. We're about to release an alien skin pack. We did a dance pack which gives the pygmies little dances. A couple Michael Jackson dances, the pants on the ground dance. But we try to give them things that if they don't have the money, they don't need. So. And we ask them to buy the skin packs if they believe in what they're doing, in what we're doing, and they want to support us. And we just found that model, being generous and having a really low price, helped us have more longevity than almost any app out there. Another application, actually, Doodle Jump, I mentioned them early on. They're actually using that business model to great effect. I think they're number 2 right now, and they've been, number 1. I think they hit number 1 in January. But it's 99-cent price point, just tons of updates. Tell people that they're adding new functionality, create a big story, and then people realize that it's like a must-have app for the platform, and then more people go out and buy it.
Hi, my name is Berkeley Malagon. I'm with Distinct Dev. We created the iPhone app, the Moron Test. So it's pretty popular. It's one of the same type of apps that gives you updates for free and increases the value for your initial investment. So hats off to you guys. We learned a lot from you guys, and so very cool. We respect what you do. Just talking about AdMob really quickly. I didn't plan on it, but I kind of got upset as I was walking up. Just for putting some numbers on it, we were seeing conversion rates to downloads with the tracking on for $10 plus. So buying a user for over $10, which is not viable. So we stopped using them. I had a question about pricing, which you started touching on. Is there a point where you would feel comfortable charging $199 for that app? I mean, right now we feel like we're getting to a point where we reached a critical mass where people are happy with the amount of content they're getting in the Moron Test and leaving great reviews, and they're asking for more, but they're not saying it needs more. So is there a point where you feel comfortable charging $199, or is that like it might as well be $1 million?
I definitely we considered it, and at first people were saying that there's not enough content, and then around 13 updates later, they were like, this app should be $5. I thought that the big story was more important than trying to get a little bit more revenue, and the big story meaning trying to get a ton of purchases, be number 1 in units sold in the App Store. Make it like when people look at our game and the 30 updates that we have, and that the fact that it's only 99 cents, make that an impactful story in order to continue generating new sales. And so for me, I think with this Pocket God game, I think that's the most effective strategy for us. I think if we bumped it up to $199, we'd lose some of that factor. On a new game, though, I'd probably go up to start at $199 or $299, accent that with in-app purchases, and so that I can have the ability to play around with the pricing, later on. And we actually early on made a commitment to our fan base that we would never raise the price, and that's kind of been something that we've been dealing with as well. Of course, we could justify it, obviously with our huge number of updates, but as long as I think if you have a formula for success, you don't want to really change it, right? And Moron Test has been like in the top 25 forever as well. And if you mess around with your pricing strategy or do something drastic, you might think that you're going to get like an incremental increase in revenue, but it might be the thing that pops you out of that list.
Yeah, absolutely. And so thanks for that. That's a lot of good advice. One thing I wanted to mention for game developers, more for new games, it's harder to kind of bake into an already existing game. One thing that we learned from Facebook, which is where we started, is that viral channels really matter. And there wasn't a real mature viral channel for the iPhone when we started. I think OpenFaint has gone a long way to fill that void. So hats off to them and check them out. They're really cool guys. But what we had to do is basically think about a way to make the game inherently viral, because we didn't want to build a viral channel ourselves for just 3 guys. So what we ended up doing is thinking about what genre out there is already inherently viral. And it's basically, I don't want to be stupid and I want to prove that you are. So when I pass the test, it's really tempting to watch you fail. And we made it so that it takes a few minutes to actually pass a test. So unless you're at a party and you have some time, you're going to run out of time trying to pass the test. So you're going to go buy the app, and it's only 99 cents. It's an impulse buy, and that's really worked out for us. So if you're designing a new game, think about baking in the virality. Adding Facebook Connect to a game doesn't make it viral. So just think about that when you're designing it.
I think that's a great point, especially with the iPhone. I think it's kind of weird because you see like the game industry in general making this huge shift from, something like more immersive games, longer games, something that takes a little bit in order to get into and get used to. And then you have the iPhone, which is like the ultimate casual market, right? And, the things I think that really do well on the iPhone is something that somebody like bought their, brand new iPhone 3GS, they can whip it out of the bar and say, look at this, give it to somebody, and they get it. And the moron test is great because the icon itself is a great joke. Like, you feel like if I hit that button, then I'm a moron, right? And that kind of a chuckle, that kind of an instant accessibility, I think works. And that's something that we happen to have, not by design, we just happen to stumble into it, but we happen to have something like that where, people can like pull out our game, load it up, draw in a couple pygmies and say, look, isn't this great? Like, but I think that's the most important part of being viral is to have like the actual game mechanic be like instantly accessible, have it be a funny joke, something that people can like show off really quickly, and then it just starts going crazy by word of mouth, rather than focusing on the mechanics of trying to build a viral feature through Facebook or through some kind of means like that.
Absolutely.
One question I had out there, a lot of people in the beginning had said that they were developing for Android. We haven't really heard a lot about that. And one of the questions I had written down here was, are people able to kind of cross-advertise across, take their iPhone users who have a friend who has an Android and kind of increase the sales or do things on one platform that are easier than on another? So if anyone has any comments to that nature, please come up to the mic and bring it up. But until then, go ahead.
My name is Aaron. I'm from Ghana. So I just want to share our experience with our app that we...
Let me just interrupt. We have 3 minutes left, so...
Yeah. So we deployed an app 5 months ago on the App Store, which is iWarrior. And as you can see, gaming in Africa is very low. So I'm one of the very few developers who is trying to bring up the gaming community in Africa. So we read all about all these successes of games on App Store. So we had challenges putting up our game on the App Store, iWarrior. It got rejected the first time, but got approved the next time. But how it's doing now, there are a lot of challenges with that. That's why we tried to come to this conference, just to get the exposure. So about what we don't understand about the App Store is the mechanics, right? Like Apple frustrates you enough to get your app up there, and then it's a whole ball game together, like marketing and trying to get the community, your community to buy the app. We have a strong community in South Africa and in Nigeria, but South Africans couldn't purchase the App Store because Apple didn't make it available. Though I chose the global, make it available globally, but those in South Africa couldn't purchase the app, so we had to do global marketing and all that, which is quite a challenge for us. So what I want to know now is, we had a couple of emails from like random companies that they could promote your app, they could help you get to the top 25 and all those. Like, how true is that? How true does that, those kind of promotional companies, like how does it work in that space? And about the second one is, so we've learned a ton of lessons with how the iWarrior is faring on the App Store. So we are starting a new game called Bugs Filler, which you crash bugs on the screen, but it's not yet there. So we are embedding Facebook Connect and Twitter and all those things in it. But we just want to get it right this time. And one of the focus of us coming to this conference is to try to build connections and see how best we could expose it. So Letty Games is very young. It's in Ghana, and we are just 2 people, one Kenyan and myself, who are trying to bring up the community. But we started with the iPhone, just to start making some money before we make a multiplayer game for Africa, because we feel that Africa has a lot of stories and a lot of interesting stuff to show to the world.
My advice to you is that that's something that's really unique, and that I would definitely play up the fact that you're from Africa. I don't know anybody else who's making games coming out of there, and I wouldn't lose that. aspect of it.
Yeah. So about about the first question, how true is these promotional campaigns?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think we have much time to discuss that, but I have heard some stories. I know, Rob, you've used a company that helped you with your sales, right? Like you're not selling them yourself. Yeah. And I would suggest why don't you come talk to him after and find out his personal experiences.
All right,
Rob.
thank you.
Yeah. But anyway, I think we need to wrap up, but I really want to thank you. I think this was really great. I learned a lot, and I encourage you to fill out your forms on the way out, and have a great JDC.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.